Hello everyone. Today, I'm sharing a dramatic story about lytieuca, a strong woman overcoming a painful past. After CEO Hung built her a house, her jealous ex-husband threatened to kill her, putting her in danger. But CEO Hung stood by her side, protecting her every step of the way. Love and protection helped lytieuca find true peace and happiness. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more exciting videos. Lytieuca had never imagined that a simple act of kindness could stir such a fierce storm in her life. Just days ago, she had received the keys to a beautiful new house, a magnificent gift from CEO Hung, the man who had quietly stepped into her life like a calm after years of relentless turmoil. The house stood gracefully on the edge of the city, a sanctuary far away from the shadows of her painful past. For the first time in years, lytieuca felt the fragile warmth of hope. It was more than just bricks and mortar, it was a symbol of new beginnings, safety, and the possibility of happiness. Yet, happiness, she learned, was often the prelude to chaos. Not long after news of the new home spread, though she had kept it close and private, a dark cloud descended. Her ex-husband, a man whose presence had once been a nightmare, caught wind of the gift. The moment he understood that CEO Hung had built a home for lytieuca, his jealousy ignited into a dangerous rage. The man who had once vowed to protect her now became a predator lurking in the shadows of her newfound peace. One cold evening, as the sun dipped behind the city skyline, lytieuca's phone buzzed violently on the kitchen counter. The screen flashed a message that froze her heart instantly. "You think you can escape me just because some rich man built you a house? Remember who you belong to. Stay away from him, or you'll regret it forever." Her fingers trembled as she read and reread the words. The message was not just a threat, it was a venomous promise. Memories of fear and pain flooded back. The nights she had cried alone, the bruises hidden beneath long sleeves, the endless cycle of pleading and threats. But this time was different. She was no longer the frightened woman who had once begged for mercy. She was stronger now, thanks to the steady support of CEO Hung. Still, fear clung to her, cold and sharp. The house that was meant to be her refuge suddenly felt like a cage, its walls closing in as the threat grew louder. The idea that her ex-husband could come after her, that the past she tried so hard to bury might explode into her present, was terrifying. Every creak in the floorboards, every shadow stretching across the hallway made her heart race. She wanted to scream, to run, to hide. But more than anything, she wanted to hold on to the hope that CEO Hung represented. In the quiet moments, when the world outside seemed distant and safe, lytieuca thought about her feelings for her ex-husband, if she still had any. The truth was painful but clear, those feelings had long since turned to dust. There was no love left, only scars and memories she wished to erase. The man who had once been her husband was now just a shadow from a past life, one she wanted to leave behind forever. Her relationship with CEO Hung was different. It was built on respect, trust, and something she hadn't dared to hope for before, genuine care. His gesture of building her a home wasn't just a grand romantic act. It was a promise that he would stand by her, protect her, and give her the peace she deserved. But peace was fragile, and lytieuca knew the battle was far from over. As she looked around the new house, her new home, she silently vowed not to let fear control her. The threat from her ex-husband was real, but so was her determination to live free from his shadow. With every heartbeat, she reminded herself, she was no longer alone. She had someone who believed in her, who was ready to fight for her. And this time, she would not run. The following morning, Lytieuca found herself standing nervously outside CEO Hung's office, the weight of last night's threats pressing heavily on her chest. She had wrestled with the fear alone long enough. It was time to face the truth and ask for help. The moment the heavy glass doors slid open, she caught sight of Hung sitting behind his sleek, polished desk, eyes sharp but welcoming. She took a deep breath and stepped inside, the resolve in her heart quietly hardening. "I don't want to drag you into this," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, "but my ex-husband, he threatened me last night. Because of the house, because of you." Hung's expression darkened instantly. The calm, composed leader she had always admired shifted, revealing a fierce protectiveness that sent a shiver down her spine. He leaned forward, his voice low but steady. "No one threatens you. No one." That simple declaration ignited something inside Lytieuca, a spark of courage she hadn't felt in years. Hung wasn't just a CEO or a benefactor. He was a man who refused to let anyone harm the woman he cared about. It was the first time she truly believed she didn't have to bear her burdens alone. Without hesitation, Hung sprung into action. He instructed his security team to increase surveillance around her new home, to monitor every entrance and exit. He didn't want any chance for her ex-husband to approach unnoticed. "Your safety is my priority," he said firmly. "From now on, you won't have to face this alone." But protection wasn't limited to physical safety. Hung had already contacted a top lawyer, preparing a legal shield to guard Lytieuca against any further harassment or threats. He made it clear, the days of running and hiding were over. If her ex-husband dared to cross the line, there would be consequences. Serious ones. Lytieuca felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, not from weakness, but from relief. For so long, she had walked a lonely path, haunted by fear and doubt. Now, beside her, was a man who not only offered her a new home but a new life. A life where she could reclaim her strength. As days turned into weeks, the transformation was evident. The once tense atmosphere in her home softened into one of cautious peace. Security guards patrolled discreetly, cameras were placed strategically, and Hung's presence was a constant reassurance, even when he wasn't physically there. Their bond deepened, rooted in trust and mutual care. Yet, Hung was more than a protector. He was a partner who understood the scars left by her past. He never pressured her to forget or move faster than she was ready. Instead, he offered patience, listening when she needed to talk, offering comfort when the nightmares crept back. It was this balance of strength and gentleness that helped Lytieuca heal in ways she hadn't thought possible. One evening, as they sat together in the living room of the new house, Lytieuca finally voiced the thoughts she had been holding inside. "I don't feel afraid when you're here," she admitted softly. "With you, I feel safe, and maybe, for the first time, I can believe in a future without fear." Hung reached for her hand, his grip warm and steady. "That's because you're not alone anymore. Whatever comes, we face it together." It was a promise, a vow, and a turning point. No longer was lytuca a victim of her past. She was a woman reclaiming her life with the unwavering support of a man who loved her fiercely and would stop at nothing to protect her. One night, as the city lights flickered softly through the curtains, lytuca's heart pounded with a mixture of fear and resolve. The past had finally caught up with her in the most terrifying way. Standing at the wrought iron gate of her new home was her ex-husband, his face twisted with rage and desperation. The man who once haunted her dreams now loomed in reality, trying to shatter the fragile peace she had fought so hard to build. He banged on the gate fiercely, shouting her name like a curse, his voice rough and angry. "Lytuca. You belong to me. You can't hide behind that rich man forever." His threats sliced through the cool night air, echoing down the quiet street. But this time, Lytuca did not tremble or shrink away. She stepped forward with steady determination, standing tall beside the man who had become her protector, CEO Hung. The sight of them together was a powerful statement in itself. She was no longer alone, no longer vulnerable. Facing her ex-husband, she spoke clearly and firmly, her voice carrying the strength of every battle she had endured. "I am not yours anymore. I have chosen my path, my life, and my happiness. You no longer have any control over me." Hung's presence beside her was unwavering. His gaze was cold and unyielding as he spoke to the man who dared threaten the woman he loved. "Leave now. If you step one foot onto this property again, you will face the consequences. This ends tonight." The ex-husband's face contorted with fury, but he saw the determination in Hung's eyes and the unshakable resolve in Lytuca's stance. For the first time, he realized that the woman he tried to dominate was protected by a force he could not break. Security personnel, previously stationed discreetly around the property, quickly moved in to detain him. The police were called, and the ex-husband was escorted away, his threats silenced by the law and the undeniable power of those who stood behind Lytuca. As the gates closed behind the retreating figure, a heavy tension lifted from Lytuca's shoulders. She turned to Hung, tears of relief and gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking slightly. "I couldn't have done this without you." Hung pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her protectively. "You don't have to face anything alone anymore. I promise to stand by you, no matter what." That night marked a turning point. The shadows of her past no longer held power over her. With Hung by her side, Lytuca embraced a future filled with hope and safety. She had found a love that was not just about passion, but about unwavering support and protection. Together, they stepped into a new chapter, one where fear was replaced by courage, and pain by healing. The house that once symbolized a fragile dream had become a fortress of strength, love, and freedom. And Lytuca knew deep in her heart that, at last, she was truly home.